Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We've got a very quick one here for you today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the rumor regarding Brent Spiner making a guest appearance on Star Trek Picard. And we're going to go ahead and quickly recap the news article that broke recently about Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek film. Pour it up. Okay, so the very first story that we're going to be getting into is something that was posted up probably about a week, maybe a week and a half ago by a website known as Revenge of the Fans. Now, this story that was posted up basically detailed the, appearance of Brent Spiner in the new Star Trek Picard show, that he was going to be doing a guest appearance, most likely in the role of Data, but in what capacity the article originally did not say. However, the article was only up for about an hour or so, given my timetable on that, before it was pulled down. But that did not stop the, news article from spreading like wildfire all across the internet, and then it was reported on many other news sites. So the reason I bring this up is clearly it's like, well, this isn't really a confirmed thing. This seems just like a big rumor. What's the big deal? Well, the reason I bring it up is this seems to be like a likely thing that's going to happen. We haven't heard from anything regarding any of the other TNG cast members not being involved inside of Star Trek Picard. A few of them come out and said they haven't been contacted. But because of the fact that they're all still alive, and the fact that Jonathan Frakes is involved in the show, and that they're all still really good friends, it would make sense that at least some of them would probably make an appearance at some point. Also being that the website Revenge of the Fans does cover a lot of new stuff. They're not just straight up like a clickbait news site, so they do cover a lot of different things. So my feeling on this is that most likely somebody got the insider information, they posted it up, and then they were probably contacted by CBS saying, hey, can you take down this article? We don't want this information to be released yet. Most likely, possibly, they want to do it as like either a grand reveal themselves, or they're going to save it for the show, and it's just going to be kind of like a little spoiler thing that they didn't want to have happen before they actually see the character live on the television show on CBS All Access and on Amazon. So I think that's probably what happened. I'm pretty confident that we're going to see somebody. Now, Brent Spiner has in the past gone on record saying that he was too old to play Data and he wasn't interested in redoing that character again. So it'd be interesting to see if he comes back as Data, if he comes back as some other type of thing, or maybe he's just like a voiceover, maybe he's just like an audio hologram, and maybe they do like just like a digital representation of Data and he does the voice for it, or maybe he appears like on some kind of pad screen or something like that, like through a video chat or maybe a holographic chat, which we've seen them use in Discovery, that we definitely know is around at this point in time in the Star Trek timeline. Perhaps they're going to do it that way, and it's just going to be all digital, and they're just going to have Brent Spiner do the voice, maybe a mocap situation there. Who knows really what it is? I'm all speculating there, but I do think it's most likely that we're going to see somebody from the TNG show appear inside of the Picard show. I think at some point that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a big thing because I know they want to focus on all these new characters and all the, the story that's surrounding Picard and what his journey is at this point, being an admiral that has left Starfleet, possibly even an ambassador, working on the vineyard, doing whatever he's got to be going on. So I think they're trying to focus on that, but it makes sense that they would include them in some capacity as much as they possibly can. And again, Jonathan Frakes is on set. He's filming certain episodes. He's probably helped out with a bit of story treatments, maybe unofficially, He's heavily involved with the production of Star Trek Picard, so it's likely we may even see, Will T. Riker make an appearance, maybe on the Titan, or maybe he's an admiral at Starfleet, or whatever it is. Maybe there's a situation where there's a high-pressure situation and he needs an absolute help, and, William T. Riker rolls in, or somebody rolls in at that point, So I definitely think it's entirely possible. So the next thing we're going to talk about is an article that was published up by Trek Movie that basically recapped a interview that Quentin Tarantino did with the Empire magazine through their website. It's available right now directly through the people who are subscribed to Empire, or it's going to be in print, I think, next week. But they kind of just got a hold of it and quickly recapped what he talked about in regards to the Star Trek film that he's supposedly still involved with. Now, remember, this was announced back in 2017. So it's been a little while since this initial story broke about Quentin Tarantino being involved in the Star Trek universe and what that might look like. So a lot of information isn't really known. The only thing that we had for sure was that there was potential for some of the Kelvin movie universe characters being involved, because we do know that Carl Urban was asked about it a year ago, and he said that the idea was, quote, bananas. But we didn't know anything else beyond that. And since Star Trek, I guess 4, if you want to call it that, or, the Kelvin 4th film is kind of dead at this point because Chris Hemsworth wasn't able to do it. Chris Pine wasn't able to do it. Now Paramount's kind of going back and forth with trying to join back up with CBS. So it's a whole mess of rights. But So we're not really sure what's going on with the Kelvin universe characters. They may be retooling that to include other characters that we know now, or maybe some all new characters, whatever that is. But in the article, he has said, quote, "There's a script that exists for it now. I need to weigh in on it, but haven't been able to do that yet." So basically, someone else has written up this script, taken the story idea that Quentin had, and they took this and did like a quick draft of an idea and kind of fleshed it out as best as they could. And at this point, according to this article, is that he needs to go ahead and send notes back and try to, again, start this whole process over again. He also said, quote, "Oh yeah, it's an R-rated movie. If I do it, it'll be R-rated." So this is kind of interesting because a lot of fans were really, really angry over the darker, more serious tone of Star Trek Discovery, and they didn't really feel like it resonated well with these Star Trek ideals. Now, that show is definitely not rated R by any means. It is TVMA for the most part, but it's not full-on R. It's not like an NC-17 type situation. So it would be interesting to see if this idea of an R-rated Trek film resonated with Star Trek fans. It's not clear if that's actually going to be something that will work out or whatever it is. I'm not quite sure if he's going to try to then implement it into the current Star Trek shows that are happening right now. What I would like to see is them to do something completely different, go right off the cuff, maybe even do a Klingon-centric movie, because Klingons are pretty brutal, and it would connect back to an R-rated film, or just do something wildly, wildly different. Just put it inside the Star Trek universe, but make it something totally unique, totally unexpected, and just give us something new and exciting to experience inside of the Star Trek universe that doesn't just involve, a captain and a crew and a starship and exploration. Like, do something totally different. But I'm excited to see where this unfolds. I'm not quite sure if it's going to work, but even if it doesn't, I do hope that whatever story idea he had eventually leaks out so that we as fans can kind of, wonder what could have been or kind of be excited about the idea. Maybe they'll even leak the story out just to test the waters to see how fans would react to this idea. That's not unheard of. Some companies do that, so it's possible we might hear more about this as time goes on. The story is getting a lot of coverage, a lot of traction within the Trek fan community, so it's possible that we may hear more about this leaked through different sources so that we kind of understand more about what it is so they can see what the gauge is of fan reaction. And just one real quick news story bit. I did get a lot of notes on Twitter about the whole Shatnergate thing. I'm not going to cover that story, basically because if I covered every time William Shatner gets into a fight on Twitter, this would turn into an hourly segment and not a weekly segment. But the whole thing is that somebody said something very negative about him, implying that they wanted him to die, apparently, and that was through a hashtag We Are Starfleet movement, and then he caught wind of it, and then this whole Twitter beef started, and all this craziness stuff fall out of it. I'm not going to cover it. I'm not going to really share my opinions on it. If you guys are interested in that information, there's videos on YouTube already about it, and it's already being covered pretty heavily on different news articles as well, but I'm not going to talk about it here. And to wrap up this video, we're going to go ahead and hit the comment of the week. This comes from user Zangthirith Starker, who says, quote, "I used to hate your opinions, but I feel the gap between my opinions and yours have finally been bridged, which is great for me because you're compelling to listen to when the dust settles." Hey, you see, not all of my comments of the week are going to be terrible. This is a very wholesome comment, and I appreciate you saying that. I do remember us talking a little bit, I think, previously on YouTube, perhaps I was talking about somebody else, but I'm pretty sure we did talk. And I appreciate the fact that you are kind of hearing me a little bit better, and maybe I'm hearing you a little bit better, and we're all kind of getting together. And that's really the whole point, is really just to understand each other and kind of just get a better feel for what other opinions are and kind of just all be together. That's the Star Trek ideal. So thank you for that amazing, amazing comment. Anyways, guys and gals, that wraps up today's Earl Grey Pour Up. I know this wasn't a very long one, but there hasn't been a whole lot of leaks and news stories regarding Star Trek. I'm sure this thing is going to kind of pick up quite a bit as we get closer to the release of Star Trek Picard, but I'm going to do my best to continue to cover other news for Trek as we get closer. So what do you guys and gals think about the idea of a TNG cast member appearing in the Picard show? Would you like them to have a full role or just a guest appearance? Which one would you prefer? And what do you think this R-rated Quentin Tarantino movie is about? It sounds quite interesting. I'm very curious as to how they would go about doing this in the Star Trek universe. So sound off down below and go ahead and get that conversation started. I'll catch all of you guys and gals next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies.